Welcome to the final session of the Mine series. Today we want to talk about what we're calling the gold mine, and it has to do with generosity. In the last two sessions, we talked about two truths. The first was, all I have has come my way by the loving hand of God, and the second, I must learn to live joyfully within God's current provision for my life. And the key word there was joyfully, because throughout all of our lives, our level of provision may go up, it may go down, but we need to commit to living joyfully within whatever provision we have, rather than going into debt to get what we want. Now today, we'll be learning to experience the financial freedom that God longs for each of us to have. And the concept we're going to talk about is going to require some faith and some trust. No doubt about it, today's message is counterintuitive because it's going to ask us to do something that most of us wouldn't associate with financial freedom. This truth is about giving our money away. Now here's the big idea. When I put my trust in God and I give generously, I will experience the joy of building a lasting legacy. And here's where we've derived this big idea from. The Apostle Paul wrote a letter to his apprentice, Timothy, a man that he was training to lead the church in Ephesus. And these were his words to Timothy nearly 2,000 years ago. Teach those who are rich in this world not to be proud and not to trust in their money, which is so unreliable. Their trust should be in God, who richly gives us all we need for our enjoyment. Tell them to use their money to do good. They should be rich in good works and generous to those who are in need and always being ready to share with others. I think it's amazing that something written 2,000 years ago about money could still be so relevant to us today. Now, one metaphor that we want to refer to in this session is that of a ladder. And a lot of times people talk about climbing the ladder, and what they mean is going higher and higher in their job to acquire more wealth for themselves. But what I just read in 1 Timothy said that is not reliable. The way we want to talk about a ladder is with the idea of generosity. Oftentimes, God's ways of doing things are radically different than mankind's ways of even looking at things. When we trust God with our finances and our giving, it's amazing what God does. Paul encourages Timothy that when people live generous lives, they will be storing up their treasure as a good foundation for the future so that they will experience true life. Being generous leads to freedom. Doing good for others is good for our lives. Now, we know that talking about this stuff can be a bit awkward. However, I think what we need to do is to learn to talk about it in a way that inspires us to live lives that God will be able to use to bless others. It takes courage to talk about this, but I want to encourage you to talk about it in your small group. Remember, we avoid giving advice in our groups unless it's asked for, and we always respect people's privacy if they share something in confidence. The key here, though, is for you to experience the freedom that God will bring into your life when you begin to trust God with your finances. For many, the first step will be the courageous step to simply talk about it. So, we hope you have a great small group.